to see everyone. Great to be here. You know how excited I am. Looking forward to this event. The fact that they moved it up a week really, you know, made me have a great summer, and I hope you've had a great summer. We certainly appreciate what you do to promote college football and college athletics. I think you do a tremendous amount to provide a lot of positive self-gratification for, you know, a lot of student athletes, and we appreciate that more than you know. You know, we're obviously looking forward to the challenges of a very probably difficult SEC football season. A lot of good teams, lots of good players. That's what makes the league great. And even though we're very proud of you know, what we've been able to accomplish in the past, not just in terms of what we've done on the football field, but I'm very proud of the fact that our team won the Disney Spirit Award last year, and we were second to Stanford in the, you know, BCS top 10 graduation rate, and we had 38 guys last fall, you know, make SEC honor roll, which is, you know, some kind of a record. You know, very proud of what that team did. And having success in the football program can have two effects. You know, you can demand more success, or you can get a little complacent and be relaxed about what you have accomplished, and really think more about what you did rather than what you're going to do. And it's human nature to relax, but there's been a lot of examples of very successful people, and I think success should be defined consistency in performance. Whether it's the Chicago Bulls in the 90s, the Yankees organization through the years, or, you know, Roger Federer or Michael Johnson as individual athletes who have had great careers and been successful over a long period of time. And we've obviously learned a lot in Alabama over the last 5 years, and the most important thing we've learned is you got to stay on top of the little things. Things don't happen by accident, and you don't win a play by accident, you don't win a game by accident, you don't win a division by accident. You know, you have to make it happen, and you have to make it happen by what you do every day. And your commitment, everybody in the organization, to the principles and values of the organization, and the standard that you have set for that organization become primary in the development of team chemistry. Because if everybody doesn't buy into those principles and values, and everybody doesn't buy into the standard, there's no way you can have the kind of team chemistry you need to be successful, especially at a elite high level. Because high achievers don't like mediocre people, and mediocre people don't like high achievers. So everybody's got to buy in to the same principles and values. You know, we have had a really good off season, you know, with our team. This team seems to be less affected by previous year or what has happened in the previous year. They're not really the 2010 team. They're not really the 2011 team. There's a lot of players on this team that this is the opportunity for them and their seniors. And we have guys on our team that have been on both of those past teams. So I know you're going to ask me a lot of questions about the future, but this team seems to be very much committed to creating an identity for themselves. You know, and it's really, really difficult in college football to carry momentum from one season to the next. You lose 25% of your team. That's an understatement for us. We lost 13 starters from our team last year. And the new 25% that you bring to your team, really, they don't have knowledge and experience. They haven't played. They're young players. Maybe very talented players, but they're very young players. So you have to create your own identity by what you do. You have to create your own momentum by what you do. And everybody has a new role, and we have new people who have new opportunities. And this is their opportunity to make this their team. So everybody embracing those new roles is very, very important to have a team that reaches their full potential. this 2012 team will be defined by what they do, what we do, not what we've done. And we're looking forward to the challenges of the 2012 season.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We have microphones that we will get to you. Again, please give your name and affiliation for any questions. We'll start up here on our front left. Second row.
Coach Brian Hill with the Mount Eagle and Jasper. You had a number of young receivers last year, like Kenny Bell, like Dean White, like Kevin Woodwood, who stood up and contributed well. Do you see within that group any of the playmakers that you have in the departure of Marquise Mays and Darius Hanks who are willing to step up and take over those roles?
Well, I think all those guys sort of proved when they got an opportunity that they could make plays. And obviously those guys made some outstanding plays in the championship game. I think they all had a good spring. I think Amari Cooper is a young guy who was a freshman who came in mid-semester who also showed some ability and talent to make some plays. But these are the things that I'm talking about. You know, how are these players going to embrace their opportunity and make this their season? And you have to look forward to what you want to do to be able to take advantage of that. And I've been pleased with the way these guys have sort of accepted that.
Any other questions? Please raise your hand. We've got one up here in the very front.
Coach Larry Burton, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Every year we have freshmen that stand up and surprise us. Who are the freshmen that you think have the whatever it takes to step up this year?
Well, I really can't predict, that. Every year we do have freshmen. I think everybody in the league does. But I don't think that I have personally enough foresight to be able to predict, who that might be. It would be easier with the guys that were in spring practice because you saw them perform, you saw them compete, and they had an opportunity in the A-Day game and a couple scrimmages to sort of show what they could do. But I think it's a little bit unfair to put expectations on incoming freshmen without having coached them, viewed them, or helped them try to develop and see how they respond to that. But I think we have a very good young class of freshman players, and I do think that some of those players will make some contribution to our team, and I think that may be critical to our success.
Okay, we'll go back over here on the left, about 3/4 of the way back.
Michael Krusty with USA Today. You mentioned a minute ago the things you've learned in the 5 years. How are you a different coach than you were 5 years ago?
Well, I think as a coach, we at least from my standpoint, learn new things all the time, from new experiences, from other people, from being a good listener, in terms of what has helped other people be successful, and how even technology, has changed our game to some degree, how we adapt to the players, the team, the personalities, and the strengths and weaknesses of what we have to work with. And I think all those things probably change you a little bit each year as a coach. But I don't think the core values of what is important in being successful has changed at all. And that's the principles and values in the organization and the standard that you set for those and the importance of everybody buying into that. And defining personally, academically, and athletically the expectation that you have for everyone so that people can be responsible and accountable to that. I still think that's critical to being successful in any organization.
Okay, we'll go down front again. Here's about the third row.
Zach, I think you Tuscaloosa News. Coach, could you just kind of speak to the importance of having experience returning on the defensive line, guys like Jesse Williams and James Ware?
Well, I think experience is important in all positions. And I think the experience and knowledge that certain players have certainly can enhance the development of other players around them, plus elevate the consistency of their performance. And the fact that we do have some defensive linemen coming back that have some experience, I think
with PowerPazoo.com. Coach Harry Finkel talked about how you gave him an opportunity. You were instrumental in him getting the job at Toledo. Can you talk about your relationship with Coach Finkel over the years, and how do you think his program will do coming into the SEC?
Well, I think Gary's a great coach. He's done a great job. He did a great job at Toledo. I did recommend him for the job when I left there because I thought he'd do a fantastic job, and he did a wonderful job there. I know he was up there bragging about the fact that he's younger than me. But there are other coaches in this league, like Steve Spurrier, that are older than me, that I look up to, that are my mentors, that I really learn a lot from, really want to try to be like. In fact, I was even going to consider wearing a visor, on the sideline. I'm afraid I'd throw it, but Gary's done a wonderful job, and looking at this team in Missouri, I think they have a really good team, and they'll compete extremely well in our league.
We'll go in the center section, Coach, from the right aisle.
Chase Goodbrother with the Tuscaloosa News. Coach, I was wondering if you could comment on Barrett Jones' career moves from guard to tackle and now to center, and what it takes to have that kind of versatility at this level.
Well, I think that it tells you what kind of special person, competitor, athlete that Barrett Jones is. I was asked earlier today, have I ever seen anybody else that could do these things sort of so effortlessly and consistently in terms of the performance level? And I think it's because Barrett's bright, he's a very good athlete, and he's not affected by change like a lot of people would be. And probably the only offensive lineman that I've ever been associated with was Bruce Matthews at the Houston Oilers. He could play center, he could play guard, he could play tackle, he was a long snapper. It's the only guy that I ever remember, and that's a pretty high class there to be compared to someone like Bruce Matthews. And Barrett Jones has been an outstanding leader on our team, on and off the field, and his academic record is absolutely as good as anybody we've ever been around.
Okay, we'll go over here to the left, about halfway back.
Chuck Carlton, Dallas Morning News. What was the thinking and the attraction of the opener against Michigan and Cowboy Stadium from your standpoint?
Well, we've had a lot of national exposure that has really enhanced the development of our program, especially in the early years, by playing neutral site games against very good national competition, whether it was Florida State and Jacksonville our first year, Clemson in Alabama and Atlanta, or Virginia Tech in Atlanta, Penn State home and home the last couple of years, and now having the opportunity to go play Michigan and Dallas, and we're going to come back to Atlanta and play Virginia Tech and West Virginia in the next 2 years. These are the kind of games that we look for national exposure. I think playing a great opponent like Michigan in the first game of the season really enhances your players' sort of work ethic and preparation in the off season because they know they're going to play a top-notch team right off the bat, and that's very challenging. So that's kind of been the reasoning behind it. It's worked out well for us, but we know that Michigan's going to have an outstanding team. It'll be a very challenging game for us this year.
We'll go in the center section again, about 3/4 of the way back.
Aaron Saul's Tuscaloosa News. Coach, the SEC has proven that it's forward thinking in the last 20 years in terms of conference expansion, conference championship game, being a proponent for college football playoff. I know you don't like looking ahead and talking about hypotheticals, but what do you think the game of college football in the SEC looks like in 10 years?
Well, that's one I haven't thought about. We're really kind of focused on what we need to do to get ready for this season. I will say that I think Mike Slive and the leadership that we have in the SEC has been, fantastic in terms of whether it's, the kind of TV package that we've had to maximize the league's exposure, which I think has enhanced the quality of play in all sports. The foresight that we've had and some of these issues, whether it's how many players that are allowed to sign, the foresight that we've had in a 14 playoff, and how it would affect college football in a positive way and how we implement that. I think safety. I don't think there's any question about the fact that players' helmets coming off is not a good thing. It's probably dangerous for the player. And I think, I don't care whether it's a style issue or whatever it is, the players need to wear their helmet properly, needs to fit properly, and it's never good when it comes off. And I think whatever we can do to sort of manage that toward player safety would be a real positive for our game.
We'll go on the left to Blair, way back.
Blair Kirkhoff with the Kansas City Star. I think I saw earlier where you suggested some sort of ticket tax or surcharge for the abuse victims at Penn State. Could you share your feelings on that with us and just general feelings about Joe Turner at Penn State?
Right, well, I don't really have a lot of feelings, you know, that personally, I mean, it's a very criminal thing, you know, that occurred there. But, you know, I just kind of think of things like this because I think of it with players a lot. You know, we all think that discipline is punishment, and how are we going to punish someone? But what I always try to think of is, you know, what do we want the outcome to be? You know, and if there's some kind of way that we can create a win-win, and I don't really know what that is. You know, I just threw out, you know, a tax on every ticket at every athletic event and donate all the money to, you know, organizations that prevent child abuse would be more of a win-win than worrying about punishing someone. So, probably not a very good idea. I probably shouldn't have said it, but I just think that more focus on outcome is always more beneficial. That might create a situation in the future that would be beneficial to someone.
We'll go here on the left side, fourth row. Yeah.
Chris Walsh, 24/7 Sports. Coach, how is Eddie Lacy's recovery from foot surgery coming, and do you expect a lot of competition in running back in camp?
Eddie Lacy has done extremely well over the summer. I think all of our injured players are doing well and would be cleared for practice if we started practice today. And you know, we continue to work hard to try to get the conditioning level of these players back to where you know, they'll be able to be prepared to have a full role on our team. And I do think that, you know, we have a couple running backs that will probably create some competition, but we've always played more than one running back. I mean, we've never been just a one back. We had Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson sharing time as players, and hopefully we'll be able to find somebody as productive as those two guys have been to share that role again sometime in the future.
We'll go here in the front row, far left.
Coach Dan Harrelson. You mentioned in your opening statement about commitment, doing things right, and people working together, and also looking out for student athletes. A big topic locally here in Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and Huntsville, I guess over the last few months, dating back to last November, was the board's idea not to allow UAB to have a on-campus football stadium, as well as UAH downplaying a hockey program. What are your thoughts about that? And because last year you said when you're at LSU, there's hardly any disparity between satellite campuses. Do you have any assessment on that?
No, I really don't, and I haven't thought about it, and I don't think it's really my place to make those kind of judgments. I don't really feel like I'm qualified, you know, to have an opinion as to whether UAB should have a stadium or not. You know, I think that we have a chancellor and a board of trustees and a lot of people who do a lot of research that I'm not privileged to in terms of cost effectiveness and the economics of such things that should be making those decisions. And I'm certainly not one that's capable of doing that at all. And I'm sorry, but I'm just not.
Go down here to Ron, front left.
Ron Higgins, Commercial Field, Memphis. Nick, understanding you favor a 9-game SEC schedule, would that make it more difficult for this league to win a national championship? And how much support do you have on the SEC coaches on a 9-game SEC schedule?
Well, here's the priority. Trying to look at this whole thing from 1,000 feet, rather than looking at it as how it just affects us, is my opinion was the number one priority should be that every player at every school have the opportunity to play every SEC school in his career. That's the number one priority. Now, it doesn't have to be 9 games, but what scheduling format gives us an opportunity to do that? So, we've always played 2 teams on the other side plus a fixed opponent. So you could do that by playing 8. Maybe you don't play somebody in your division. You could do it by playing 9. Everybody's got a self-absorbed opinion about why we shouldn't do it, because maybe they won't get bowl eligible. People said when we started the SEC championship game that we'll never be able to win a national champion because we'll play this competitive game at the end of the year and people will get knocked out. But the fact of the matter is more teams got in the national championship game because of what happened in the SEC championship game than got knocked out. We're all playing somebody that is a quality opponent outside the league right now. So, I don't think the difficulty of schedule would be any greater. And I think if you're one of the best teams, playing another team in our league, it would just be an opportunity to improve and to prove that you are a quality team. So I don't know if it would or wouldn't affect it one way or the other. I just look at it that the number one priority should be that every player have the opportunity to play every school in the SEC rather than being so divisional oriented. And I think that should be the number one priority in schedule.
We'll go all the way to the very back at the center.
Coach Rob Marshall, New York Times, kind of saying this week of what Commissioner Clive said about no one man or one program having as much power as their institution. How do you address the perception, fair or unfair, that Alabama football in particular are too big and have too much power in relation to their institution?
Well, it's not true if that's the perception, because I personally have a tremendous amount of respect for Tom Moore, our athletic director, our chancellor, Bob Witt, and the honesty and integrity that they run the program. And when we have someone who does not do what they're supposed to do, whether it's NCAA rules or something that might be criminal, those decisions get made by those people as to what's in the best interest of the university. And I have always thought that was handled in the proper manner. And it certainly wasn't my decision and my decision alone. I have tremendous faith, trust, and confidence in our institution and that we will do the right things to try to promote the moral obligation that we all have to protect other folks, other people, and to make sure that the people in our organization are sort of assuming the responsibility that they have to represent it in a first-class way.
We'll go down the front left with John.
John Adams, Knoxville News Sentinel. Nick, do your former assistants, Will Muschamp or Derek Dooley, ever consult you, seek your advice about certain aspects of the job, even though they're now coaching your competition?
Well, I have a tremendous amount of respect for all the coaches that have worked for me and done a fantastic job, and I'm very happy to see them have opportunities because that's what they worked so hard for. That's what they did a great job for us. We would have not had the success that we've had if it wasn't for the staff and coaches that worked for us in the past. So I have a tremendous respect and admiration for what those guys have done for me. So when they do call or they do ask or we discuss things that may affect the future of college football, I'm always willing to be as helpful as I possibly can to helping them enhance their programs. Look, I'm for everybody having a good program. And the idea that you have to dislike somebody to compete compete against them is not something that I've ever really bought into. And I like Derek Dooley, I like Will Muschamp, I like Jimbo Fisher, I like Mark D'Antonio, I like Jason Garrett. All these guys have worked for me somewhere along the line, and I would want to help them every way that I could have the best program they could have for their players, because that's really what college football is all about. And it's our job to go create a good product of our own. Whether it's right or wrong, my dad said you should always try to win the game based on your execution, not hope that the other guy's lack of execution is going to help you win the game. All right, so that's the way we've always kind of approached it. So what they do, if we do what we're supposed to do, we'll still be sort of at the top of our game. So that's what we try to emphasize, and we really do appreciate the contribution that those guys have made through the years to our success.
We'll go right down in front here in the front row.
Brandon Shields with the Jackson Sun, Jackson, Tennessee. Coach, you got a redshirt freshman this year, Gabriel Washington. Could you just kind of talk about where he's at in his development and maybe any kind of expectations you have for him?
Right. Well, Gabriel's done a really good job of developing. He's gotten bigger and stronger, and had a really good spring, and he's competing for a role on our team at the cornerback position, and maybe someone who can contribute on special teams and be a backup player at corner.
Okay, we'll go over here on the right side, third row.
Hey, Coach, just our first one, not to lose Sentinel, as a follow-up to the second to last question. If Derek Dooley's going to follow you on the stage, you're probably get a lot of questions about job security and whatnot. I'm just curious of your opinion, your perspective on, what he inherited and the job he's done from then to today.
I think Derek Dooley's done a really good job. I think he inherited a very difficult situation. A lot of things, a lot of lack of continuity probably created a difficult situation in terms of quality of personnel, depth. And I think Derek has done a lot of things to create a lot of program stability, there. I think he had a stroke of bad luck last year when he lost a very good quarterback and a very good receiver, which may have enhanced their ability to win a few more games, no doubt. And I think they've done a very good job. When we play them on the field, we have a real positive respect for the way they coach and what they do and how their players compete and how they play. So I look for them to have a much better team this year, and I think that Derek is going to be just fine and do a wonderful job in the future at Tennessee.
Other questions for Coach Saban? Please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you.
Hi, Coach. Ken Rogers with Oak Eagle. You talked a little bit about Barrett. Would you mind talking about the other two guys that are here, Mike Williams, and particularly Damian Square, defensive lineman?
Right. Well, the way we tried to select who came over here was we don't have a lot of seniors on our team this year. I think one of the fewest in the country, actually, in terms of numbers of seniors. And these guys have played a lot of football for us. And even though a couple of them may not be viewed as star players, they are seniors. Their role is very important to the development of our team. Young people who are trying to take advantage of opportunities. And I thought it was imperative that we bring some senior guys who have contributed a lot to the success in the past and who have showed a willingness to create and establish leadership for the future. So that's why those guys are here. They've all played extremely well for us, and they've given a lot to the program in more ways than just the football part of it. They've been personally responsible, done well academically, and have been very productive performers for us on a pretty consistent basis.
Then we'll go to the center section on the right.
Hey, Coach. Joey Martin, Corey Sentinel. Can you talk about the changes, if there were any, as far as the play calling and the defensive sets from the first LSU game to the last game?
Well, we sort of analyzed some of the things that we did in the first game that we didn't do very well. some things that we weren't prepared for, and did a little bit better job in the next game in terms of our execution. I do think that, you know, our players responded to the first loss, and psychologically, so that they were really sort of geared in, locked in, focused on preparing and executing much better than they did the first time around. And I thought that the quarterback, you know, played an outstanding game, and the defense executed extremely well, and that was probably the difference in the two games.
We'll take a question over here on the left, on the right aisle.
Hey Coach, Ben Love, Tiger Rack Magazine. With this new playoff system that we have, how big of a proponent do you think, or how big of a criterion should being a conference champion be, especially in light of the season you're coming off of?
Well, you know, I think that what the fans want to see in the 14 playoff is the best teams, the 4 best teams in the country get in the playoff. You don't have to win your conference championship to get the basketball to the Final Four. I mean, you got to play your way into it. And whether you win a conference championship or not, if you played and you're ranked in the top 4 teams in the country, you ought to have the opportunity to play in the game. I think that's what people want. Just because we have a really, really strong conference, and we may have 2 or 3 teams that may be in consideration as, you know, the top 5 or 6 teams in the country to be in the Final Four. So the possibility definitely exists that one of those teams aren't going to be conference champions. We've had 2 teams in BCS a number of years, and one of those teams wasn't a conference champion. So, and we proved, I mean, to me, it should prove the value of a good football team who loses the game and loses a chance to win their conference championship in overtime to a very, very good team, LSU, that goes on and wins the rest of their games. I don't know why they should be eliminated. You know, Kentucky and North Carolina play a basketball game, and one of them lose, but everybody wants to see Kentucky and North Carolina play in a championship game. You know, in the NFL, you lose, you might not even win your division, you might be a wild card team, you still get in the playoffs, and you still have a chance to win the Super Bowl. So, you still have to play your way to win. I think, to be quite honest with you, whoever's making the statements about conference champions is really making a statement against the SEC and against any league who has more than one good team who would qualify. Trying to enhance the opportunity for somebody from their league to get in.
All right, we'll take one final question over on the left, on the right eye.
Hey, Coach, Sean Palmer from Mighty Bengals Insider. You mentioned AJ's performance in the national championship game. How much better do you feel about the quarterback position heading into this year as opposed to last year?
Well, I think anytime you have an experienced quarterback, you know, there's a comfort level that because of knowledge and experience, because there's so many intangibles that go with being a good quarterback, like judgment, accuracy, timing, leadership, to affect other people on the offensive team to execute with a little more consistency. The experience that you have at that position always makes you feel a little better about all that. So I think the key for us is we're going to have to develop some depth, you know, at that position. But AJ had a really good spring, and hopefully he's poised to continue to improve and have a really good year for us this year.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. Again, thanks for all that you do for college student athletes. Thank you.
We'll be joined by Alabama student athletes Barrett Jones, Damian Square, and Michael Williams. Shortly, 2 of them will be in the back of the room. One will give them